Hello everybody, this Buddy here in Midland. Hey, I just realized late this evening what the date was. It's October 9th, and that's the day that the late Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor died, supposedly in the line of duty. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. And because the question's been asked, did they kill Mike too? I might name that video this. Here's a little short write-up here. 6 years ago today, Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Naylor died after being shot with a stolen gun. 4 years after that, Empire Private Investigations identified Naylor as the second law enforcement officer seen at my home 19 minutes after I'd crawled out and left from being ambushed and shot in January 2012. His name was missing from the police report, and the public was never told he was a secret police with a reward offered for his identity. And his name wasn't the only name missing. Actually, there were 6 out of the 11 law enforcement officers that were caught on camera. Their name was missing from the report that I didn't get until 7 years later. Okay. I'm guessing that most of the secret police were under my home when I was shot, and it looks like it may have been one of them that shot me. I bet they would do anything to stop that from being made known, but would they murder Mike too? The question had been asked if Nader was going to snitch on the other secret police, and they didn't want that to happen, so they killed him and framed Higgins. 2 months after this, the second secret police, Chad Simpson, was alleged to have murdered his wife and then killed himself. Once again, the question has been asked if this was a double murder to cover up loose ends, as it's clear they considered the underground oil show prostitution parties more important than human life. If this is the case, and it looks like it is, then we have a cop killers out there. Okay, this is from the Midland Reporter Telegram. Report: gun that killed Naylor was reported stolen. Seems pretty kind of convenient, doesn't it? And I tell you what, Higgins is out there. He's got a half a dozen police officers that, if they're going to lie and say that he shot Naylor, and if he tried to fight that, he would have got the death penalty. I mean, I think that's all there is to it. I think he was told, you either confess to this and we'll save your life, or you'll get the death penalty, because they all conspire against you. That's what happened to me, and here, I'm the citizen homeowner, good guy here, living in my home, minding my own business, and then they're lying and tampering with the evidence and a premeditated capital attempted murder, and to steal property. And so there we go. Report: gun that killed Naylor was reported stolen. And I'm not going to read all this, but it happened on October 9th, 2014. So let's just get back, because I'm going to keep this video short. And I went on to say Mike Nader was married to a woman from Hobbs, New Mexico, my hometown. That's where I moved from in 2008. I've noticed many connections back to my hometown. Chad and Sandra Simpson were both from Hobbs, and it looked like Sergeant Matt Davis knew a lot of people in Hobbs too. So I suspected he might have lived over there too. And Matt Davis is the one on Facebook or on YouTube that confessed to stealing evidence, and was bragging about it, actually. Okay. And I long suspected he's the one that stole the voice recorder that I told Rodriguez about. But anyway, here's the obituary for Mike Nader right there, okay? And Mike Nader dies on October 9th, but the public didn't know that he was a secret police with a reward offered to identify him. Our press is they've done such a disjustice to the readers here on covering up these crimes, and even this here this law enforcement officer died, whether he died in the line of duty or he was killed by them other secret police. Either way, the press has a duty to inform the public, and the public was never told that Naylor had a reward offered for his identity. He was at my house, minutes after I was shot. And so anyway, there's his history. Y'all can go look that up. He was a veteran, and so My next comment here, I said, these were the secret police that somehow remained secret for 6 years after the murder attempt on my life, even with the reward offered for the identity. Naylor was the second person seen arriving. And this is the flyer I posted hundreds and hundreds of times, because I mean, I had a $2,000 reward offered. I nicknamed them Sixth Police. I was making videos. They became world famous, you know. First known secret police since Nazi Germany is what I'd call them. And you know, I had already recognized that these first two were wearing tan uniforms, and so I had a clue that maybe it was Sheriff. I was actually suspecting it might have been Naylor, you know, because it looked like a tan uniform. This was Woodward and Naylor. And these were caught inside my home later that night, and that was the only reason they were caught, is because they tried to disable the camera and they accidentally started it. The log files showed that, you know, that they tried to reboot the computer running the camera, and so they didn't know that they got caught. And of course, like I said, there, you know, when we seen the police report in 2019, 6 of their names wasn't even there. And this one is Chad Simpson, the Midland K-9 police officer that was alleged to have murdered his wife, killed himself 2 months other. And you know, there's stories about all of them. Rosie Rodriguez, she's the one that met me at the 7-Eleven after I crawled out. That's a convenience store, and I drove up there. She climbed into my truck, was giving me first aid, and then said she wasn't there. Okay, come to find out 2 years later, she was lifelong friends with the ex-wife I'd filed divorce on 5 days earlier. And this one, April Chandler, she lied and said she crawled into my truck, opposed to Rosie. They both got together. And then there was a picture inside my bedroom of these two, and Rosie's leaned over my nightstand where my stolen cell phone had been planted, you know, and that was stolen before I was ambushed and shot. And here's the names. This actually was come from the text messages from the private investigator. We already knew Rosie and April because, you know, you could see their faces. Tony Dickey, that's a huge one. That was a lieutenant, maybe the highest ranking officer. And the police report that I got in 2019 showed that he was inside my house at 11:05 when right here that they were seen at 11:01. So Dickey here was in my home 4 minutes later, but he wasn't never seen arriving like Woodward and Naylor. Nobody's ever explained that, but you know, the obvious easy answer, we know what the deal was, is that Dickey and then also the other ones, Davis, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, they came into my home from the now removed trap door from where I'd been shot, because the evidence shows I wasn't shot with my gun, and we know where I shot. So we know where the trap door was, and it's believed it was covered up while I was in the hospital there. Marty Barrett, a CSI, and you know, Barrett, he omitted evidence on, you know, that he checked in, and actually there's several things with evidence that I think you could look back there and say that he tampered with evidence in a capital murder or a capital attempted murder there, and he's a crime scene investigator. I think he went on to be a supervisor of crime scene, and he's tampering with evidence in capital crimes. John Woodward right there, a sheriff from a different county. Nobody's ever explained why a sheriff from a different county showed up at my house minutes after I crawled out and survived a premeditated murder attempt. But the obvious answer is they were all below my house. There was a party going on. The ex-wife had told me in so many words there were a lot of people here when I shot. And I believe that's where the whole show parties were at. So they were probably there when that little girl was murdered in 2010 and maybe involved in the murder of Mike Lawn. And then I go on, I wonder if somebody on this list killed or knows who killed Mike Naylor, Chad Simpson, and Sandra Simpson. You can bet they know who tried to kill me, and maybe who killed the guy that lived here before me. Most likely they were at the oil show parties, so they know who killed that girl too. And basically this first list right here is the list identified by the private investigator in 2018. There was 11 of them, okay? And then the second list right here is what was on the police report, which I didn't get until 2019. It was illegally withheld, even after it had been subpoenaed. And so you see these names, and that's where we find out 6 of these names right here are not on the police report. They're seen on camera, but they're not on report. And that's not an accident. That's not, oh, we left one guy's name off. That's 6 people's name that was intentionally omitted, and they've been caught on camera. And that, you know, and that's part of the reason they were hiding this police report, illegally hiding the report. But the biggest deal was it time-stamped, as I said a minute ago, time-stamped Lieutenant Dickey, Davis, Hale, Angel, and there was another one there that inside at or inside my home, and they wasn't seen arriving on the camera. That means they come in from the underground trap door I shot from. What that probably means is it was one of them that shot me, that pointed their gun at me and waited for me to walk by, pulled the trigger, and that would explain that they were also involved in stealing my cell phone and cutting my phone lines, because it was Rosie and April that was planting my stolen cell phone behind my nightstand where I found it, meaning that they knew something about it being stolen prior to me being shot. And the only reason you'd steal my cell phone before you shot me is so I'd bleed out and die. So they call this accident. Nobody in the world would ever suspect somebody under my home shot me, and especially not a large group of police that are all lying. Okay, and now you can see why Higgins would have had a problem. Well, when Naylor was shot. Okay, police report here. This is the second entry by my home, and the only name in common. The whole thing's Rosie Rodriguez. She's definitely a main player. She's a lifelong friend of that ex-wife, the one that on a recording tried to extort $1,800 a month from me 4 months before I was ambushed and shot. And then this last one, because this is a short video, it makes sense that Martin County Sheriff John Woodward and the late Midland Sheriff Deputy Mike Nader were under my home when somebody under my home shot me. Based on the evidence, it looks like it may have been one of the secret police. And so this is from my security camera. This is a short 1 minute video is what it is. But it's showing the security camera video. What you don't see is what isn't seen is Dickie, Davis, Angel Hell. They never seen arriving. Okay, there I'm crawling out. Watch my headlights. Oh, see, somebody turned them off. So it looked like somebody was in my car. Ain't that amazing? And then here's John Woodward, and it's just telling you what's going to happen here. Same thing I've already told you. That 6 years they were secret was 6 years of break-ins to my house while the police looked the other way, death threats, and people coming to me saying, I'd sell that home if I was you. They've been trying to terrorize me from my home. And this is the first two police that showed up right here. You can see them right here. Woodward was in the first car. A sheriff from a different county. I just survived a murder tip, crawled out and left. And this one here was Naylor, the second one. And this is at 11:01. And we're going to see them get out right there. There they are. Boom. And see, they were in tan uniforms. It's 6 years to get them identified. 2,000. First time in the history of America, a crime victim had to offer a reward to get police identified. I couldn't get a news story in the nation. That is the level of cover-up. There's literally a killing machine. And it looks like they killed the guy that lived here before me. And I bet there's a whole bunch of other people I don't even know about. And, share this story.